We have a saying around here.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, no brains, no headache.
Well, hello, boys.
What's up? What's
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Episode 217, No Brains, No Headache podcast, getting started off right about now. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for listening to this mindlessly entertaining show coming to you from Bismarck, North Dakota. Two lifelong friends. That's Matt Cleary over there, known him since I'm 5. I am Jordan Weichel, happy to be your host. Damn glad to do it. Happy to do so. We're back in the studio for yet another recording. We've got quite the doozy ready for you. Matt, how are you?
Good. I went to this pumpkin patch yesterday, and they had this weird thing going on that was $1 off if you had a military ID, but you got $4 off if you brought your own wagon. So in my mind, owning a wagon is 4 times as important
as being in the military.
Yep.
Did you see that kid from the garage sale trying to use his military ID for the $1 discount?
He wasn't there, no.
No, he was not there. Well, there you go, hitting up the pumpkin patch as we go into fall 2024. Day of recording is September 16th, 2024. You won't be listening to this on that day because, well, it won't be out until September 17th. So, once again, welcome to the show, No Brains, No Headache podcast. Like I said, we're back in the studio. We got a few new decor here, a couple special effects that we're excited about for a good show coming up. I went to a wedding over the weekend.
How was that?
It was a nice reminder why I hate weddings.
Okay.
That's for sure. Few things. I actually went to the ceremony for this one, just out of necessity. Didn't really have anything else to do, so went to the ceremony. You know, they really get you when it's not in your hometown. It's not in the place where you're from, so it's like, well, I mean, I could just sit around or I could actually go to the thing, but I did. And the priest, you know, the man who was the person doing the wedding, we'll say, you know, priest could offend somebody these days, but he goes on to tell us how these two met. And he says how they met online, and we're all just like, okay, so you met on Tinder? Personally, even if I met the love of my life on Tinder, we would not be telling people that at all. I would not be telling people that I met the love of my life on the line. That just doesn't make any sense to me.
It's becoming more and more popular now, though.
I get it, and I understand, and I'm happy for them. But I'm just saying, me personally, I don't think I will be telling anybody that I met, you know, my significant other online. First thing, I'm not on any dating app, so that should probably help. Yeah, I met her online. It was a work email.
Oh, yeah.
And we bumped uglies after the conference. No. It was interesting, but I just thought it was weird when the priest, it was just awkward. And then the awkwardness spewed into the reception where one of the dads giving a speech told the joke about shitting the bed. I'm not making this up, Matt.
Did it land or was it done?
I mean, it was one of those long jokes that he printed off of a Facebook post.
Oh.
And, you know, finally at the end of it all came full circle. But like the whole premise was shitting the bed. I'm not making this up, people. I don't make this up for clicks or laughs, okay? I tell the truth, nothing but the truth. Unless, you know, I need something from you, then I might lie a little bit. But it was just weird.
I think weddings should have, for people that don't want to go to like a church or the ceremony, they should have like a happy hour for those people.
I think it is a happy hour. It's called go to the bar on your own. You don't need people to tell you to go have a happy hour. Just go there. Just go do it yourself. I don't think anybody's forcing you to be there. It was a Catholic wedding, you know, a long one. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to be respectful of the church, but I'm not going to participate. So when communion came around, I went and hit the biff. You know, I was like, I am out of here.
How comfortable were the pews?
There were chairs because this church was actually being built. It's like a brand new church, so it's kind of off to the. It was like in a side. It was still look like a large church. Maybe it is. I don't know what it is, but it was a large room that looked like a church. But the actual church was still under construction. I don't know.
You'd think after 2,000 years, the church would figure out how to have like some moderately comfortable chairs. It's like, nope, we got wood planks.
Yeah, the chairs were actually fine. No kneeling involved, which was great. But yeah, I decided just to forego the participation. You know, I just figured that was for the best. You know, and then it was so funny, dude. We just talked about this on the podcast when I brought up, you know, guy who has the phone ring when it's not supposed to guy. You know, weddings, public speakers, you know, those events where it's kind of supposed to be quiet. The focus is supposed to be on someone or something that the congregation is focusing on. And before the ceremony gets started, the priest says, the bride has requested that we all, before we get started, we all check our phones and put them on silent. And then he gave, I don't know, maybe 30 to 90 seconds to kind of let everybody do it. The moment he started speaking, ring, ring, ring. I'm like, dude, turn off the goddamn. And you know what it was? Guaranteed I couldn't pinpoint where it was. Otherwise, I would have went and punched him in the dick myself. But it was definitely the old guy who doesn't know how to work his phone. And he thinks he's turning it off when in reality he was probably turning up his volume. Then the phone's like, let's make sure you like this volume. And then it started ringing. And I was just like, okay. 5 minutes later, I was reminded why people ask their patrons to not bring their children. It is so difficult to focus on a beautiful moment when all you can hear is crying. And I'm not blaming the child. Why would I do that? That's not fair. I'm not blaming a child. That's not fair at all. But you know what? Maybe, can't we drop them off at grandma's for an hour? Why do you have to bring the kid to the ceremony? You know they're not going to sit still. You know they're going to cry at one point. It's an hour long. It's an hour long. You think the chances of your kid not crying in an hour are high? No. Or I don't know what I just said, but whatever, you know.
Yeah, I got picking up what you're putting down.
I'm in and out right now. I'm pretty low on fumes, so that's what's happening. But it was one of those things. You're kind of reminded again, you know, why you don't like weddings. And I'm happy for the couple. I was happy to be there. Let's not mix that up. When I go to a wedding, and then I come on the podcast and shit on weddings, that doesn't mean I'm not happy for the couple, okay? Let's not mix those two. I'm very happy for them, and I was happy to be there. I was excited that they asked me to be part of their day, and that's what I always do. I say, congratulations, thank you for inviting me. Me personally, I would be fine if there wasn't a wedding for the rest of my life. Matt?
Yep. I mean, I get it. With phones, though, when you think you're turning it off, there's a setting on your iPhone that I had to turn off because I was always listening to something and it was in my pocket and I would think that I'd be turning it down, but I'd be hitting the power button 5 times in a row. And if you do that, it calls 911.
Yeah, or maybe the Siri thing. Like, I didn't understand that. I don't know where it is, but go ahead.
I mean, I was calling 911 and then I would get like a noise that would come on my phone and then it'd be like 911's calling back and it'd be like, hello? Like, do you have an emergency? No. What's your name? And I have to give him my name. And I'm like, I did this probably 5 times over like a month before I figured out how to turn it off.
Interesting.
I'm surprised I'm not on a list where if there's actually an emergency, I don't think I'm going to get help.
It's called the Cry Wolf list, and Matt is at the top of it. But I do have to say, some of the best wedding speeches I ever saw. Why? They were both short and sweet. There was no crying involved. A couple of jokes, a couple of heartwarming moments, but I'd say they're all under like 2 minutes. Besides the shitting the bed joke, of course.
Yeah, that was a good.
The shitting the bed joke took a while because when you have to print off a piece of fucking paper, excuse my language, from Facebook,
it's just in color meme that he's reading off.
If you're going to spend that amount of money on a wedding, reserving the church and the dresses and the flowers and reserving the reception area and the hotel rooms and the gifts and the invitations and everything, why not put a little bit aside and hire a writer? Hey, person, can you help me write the thing? I'll pay you. I don't think it's going to cost as much as the venue rental, okay? So maybe we need to reorganize our priorities when it comes to weddings. Hire a writer. That's a thing. You can hire writers. I don't know if you're aware of that. You can hire people who will make you sound less like a dumbass.
Chat GPT.
I don't know if I would go that route. But Matt, that's Matt's suggestion. And here we are. Episode 217. Let's get into it.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I made some observations over the week, and I just want to give you a quick rundown of them.
Yeah, I love how you put in her notes. Observations I made this week. That's essentially the podcast. You just redefined the podcast. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
I ran into a guy that said his college major was biomechanics. I'm like, wow, that sounds really hard and interesting. I found out later that it's just athletic training.
Biomechanics?
He described it as biomechanics.
First of all, this person...
You know how many athletic training jobs there are in the state for like the 4 million athletic training degrees out there? Like 6.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. When I, meet somebody for the first time or catch up with an old friend, I mean, there's a whole lengthy laundry list of career paths that they say they're in. And let's just go through it real quick. Give yourself a fake name. Oh, hey, John. What are you up to these days? Say accounting.
Accounting.
I'll be at the bar. Yeah. It's like, I don't want to, what you leave me nothing.
Yeah.
And then I feel so selfish when I tell them what I'm up to. Oh, I own 2 businesses. I do stand-up comedy. Because they just leech on to that.
Tell me a joke. Go fuck yourself.
Tell me a joke. I'll be at the chips and salsa if you need me.
I'll be the one with chips and salsa all over me in about 5 minutes.
Oh, what I will say at this wedding is they had a huge, a gigantic punch bowl. Shirley Temple.
Oh, that's
it
awesome.
Was so good.
How many did you have?
Probably about 4.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, I was crushing the Shirleys. And not a dirty Shirley either, okay? This is a PG-13 Shirley.
So, yeah, biomechanics is basically the sanitation engineer.
Yeah.
It's just tell me athletic training. Don't make me find out otherwise, and then that makes me believe you're hiding something.
That would be like if one of us said that we are an audio engineer for a small market media company. AKA, we have our own podcast.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to start using that, actually, so thanks.
I'm an audio engineer for a small market media company.
Meanwhile, we don't really do any editing at all.
Why do you have to do editing to be in media?
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to do editing. Have you listened to some podcasts out there?
There was one.
They're terrible.
One pretty big podcast where we forgot to turn on that guy's mic for the entire episode. I mean, we've also done that, but we don't claim.
Whoa.
Okay, the mic didn't.
You did that.
No, the mic didn't work.
No, you set up the microphone backwards.
No, that was enough. Okay, so I've done it twice then.
Okay. I thought I was referring to that, but we're not going to go through all 217 episodes. You, as our listener, can go check them out. There's plenty to choose from. Read the description, see what you like. What other observations, Matt?
If you're in a bar and you're taking a pee and someone is just ravaging the toilet and you see their shoes and then you try to find them around the bar, it's like being a modern day Cinderella.
What, because you're looking for the slipper?
Yep.
Am I
the only one that does that?
I was about to say, that's pretty fucking weird, dude. You're taking note of the shoes and then you're going back out there to look for them.
Oh, I'm not going, but I look at...
Here's what I'm doing. And then I'm getting out of there as soon as possible.
I mean, I'm not going around to every table, but I'm taking notice of people's shoes.
Yeah, I mean, back to this wedding again. The hotel it was at and reception area. Everybody's there and like dinner's about to start. So what does the hotel decide to do? I think now is a good time to clean the men's bathroom, the closest one we have. So I go there and I'm like, okay. Thankfully, there's another restroom nearby, and I walk in, and this poor father has his daughter in line because there's a bunch of dudes in there.
Oh man!
To use the restroom, and I'm behind them, and I am sweating bullets because I even though you can't see anything, I would have felt that presence behind me. Now, I don't really know what the right thing to do is in that situation. Thankfully, they went into the stall before I had to use the urinal so I could perform at maximum capacity. But I just thought that was weird. Another reminder, don't have children. Matt?
If you have the title at a business that's marketing, communication, or business, followed by specialist or coordinator, and your parents own the company, I'm just going to assume you don't do anything.
That's a fair assumption, I would say.
That's like what they give every parent that owns a company, and they're like, oh, shit. Well, my kid's not going to amount to much, but you can come be our business specialist. And it's like, when's the last time you showed up? 3 months ago.
Oh, I'm an account manager.
Yep.
It's like, okay, so you just go back to people who definitely need your products and fill out the order form for them? Great. Really good job. This country owes you a great debt.
So I've been a big Good Charlotte, the band, fan forever, and one of their most famous songs, the anthem. For the longest time, I thought the lyric was, "This is the anthem, so blow all your heads up." It's "This is the anthem, throw all your hands up."
Yep.
And any bar that has the word lounge in their name is a shithole.
I would agree with that. The two I'm thinking of right now, pretty big shitholes.
Yeah, or a very divey bar. I'm not saying they're like bad being a shithole, because sometimes I do like those crappy bars where it's like, no matter what
It
you order,
smells like sewer in here. Give me a beer.
Yeah, but
not from the tap, please.
those haven't been cleaned since the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean those bars where it's like you go in and you'll order like 5 drinks, and they're like, well, we can't ring it in for more than $12, so $9 is your total. And you're like, all right. You just get annihilated, and you're like, can I get my tab? $31.
Or like, I really like the dive bars where if you're not drinking alcoholic, but this Diet Dr. Pepper, dude, it is just, we should not be drinking it before recording.
But it's
I
so
keep
good.
burping.
It's literally the only thing I was looking forward to.
I tried
today.
talking and I'm like, bars where you're not drinking alcohol and you're just like order a Coca-Cola or some sort of big old can of soda pop, and they just don't charge you for it. That's my kind of bar. We went to open mic a few weeks ago, and I had a soda pop, $9. And I felt bad, so I didn't even say. I didn't want to deal with it. I was like, whatever. Like, here's $10. I don't care. I did slug down about 6 of them. So.
Oh yeah,
But I mean,
that just seems like a lot.
I can't remember what it was, but it was an outrage. I remember looked at it. I'm like, I'm like, whatever, dude. You'd probably need this money more than I do. So good for you. Those are your observations for the week.
Yep,
Absolutely love it. I guess I made some observations as well. When you're at work or just lounging out on a Saturday morning, you're a little tired and you stand up, or maybe you're in your chair and you stretch out and you get super duper lightheaded. That happened to me the other day, and I was in my apartment. I live by myself. And, I had to grab onto the door frame because I was afraid I was going to fall over. It was, such an intense feeling. How dangerous is this?
I mean, if you're by yourself, it is dangerous, because there was one time I straight up passed out. Like, I stood up from the couch, gave a big old yawn, and then just, my roommate said all he heard was this loud thud, and he came in, and I was just laying on the ground. They would also do this thing with similar to that same scenario where so my bedroom was in the basement, and every time I would just get annihilated, they would be listening to music upstairs and be like, I'm going to go to bed. And they'd be like, they would shut all the music off and they're like, just listen. And then it would be me going down the stairs, and I would get down the first 3, turn the corner, and then they would say all you'd hear is boom, 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 boom.
All right, so Matt and Gravity don't get along.
Me and Stairs, after a couple drinks, do not get along.
Yeah, well, Gravity don't play fair, never has. Never will. The other thing that I was thinking about that's super dangerous, you ever sneezed while driving?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I almost went into the oncoming lane the other day. And I'm like, how do we... And my allergies are just through the roof right now.
Right.
I take one step outside, 5 sneezes minimum.
Sniffle City.
How are we as a society going to combat this?
Buy a Tesla where it basically drives for you.
That's an idea. But what happens if you're in your car and like you honestly let a sneeze go and get into an accident? How do you explain that? Does insurance cover sneezes? I want it to.
It should be like any bodily function, like man shit his pants.
This dude was cranking one out. The heat of the moment. He can't stop once he starts. It stings.
Just blow through a red light and get hit by an 18-wheeler.
And blow through your shorts, too.
Yeah, we got to the crime. There was a lot of bud, also semen.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. Just these very minor yet dangerous situations you can get yourself into. How do we combat?
I was thinking the Tesla thing that is, so if let's say Tesla has like a range of like around a 2.5 hour drive, and
it's a good nap,
and you're hungover, but you have to be touching the steering wheel. Could you just duct tape your hands to the steering wheel, get on the interstate, and then just be like, all right, and fall asleep?
I don't see why not.
That'd be so funny if you got like pulled over or like anyone saw you and you're just duct taped and just.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole Tesla thing, we can just move on to that because that's all I really had there. But the idea of the Tesla, now let me ask you this. Do you know if it's in the autopilot, are you allowed to be distracted technically? Like, are you allowed to like do other things? Like, it's autopilot.
I don't think you're allowed, but that's just assuming what everyone's doing.
That would come in handy for me because I am constantly on my phone, emails, social media, whatever it is. And then, but I'm also driving. I will admit to it, driving and texting. Over here, guilty. But if I had the Tesla and I'm on a 3-hour road trip or whatever. It's just kind of a straight path, high speeds. Yeah, I want to be getting some stuff done.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the other idea I had of like those car haulers that they use for like dealerships, that if you could just pay to put your car on it and ride to like the next stop.
I think you're onto something.
It's just like, I don't want to drive. You just pull up 2.5 hours. You're there, drive your car off the trailer.
Yeah, man, I like where your head's at. That's actually a really good idea.
Because it's not really a lot of extra weight unless you're a fat sack of shit. So these people are going to go that way anyways. You don't put mileage on your car.
But then you have your car at your destination.
So like, it's like, how sweet would it be if you're like, I have to go to a location and I'm going to get picked up at 10:30 at night. They're going to drive through the night. I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m. and I'm 4 states over with my car.
Man, I like where your head's at. We may have to get really drunk after this and put together a business plan. I think that would be really, really fun.
I think there's got to be some sort of liabilities with it of someone.
Oh, that was my first thought. Like the insurance policy on this thing is through the roof. Yeah, we went in debt.
Someone gets out of their car mid, just onto the interstate, or like what happens if someone needs to go to like the bathroom or something, so you have to like stop.
I don't know. Hold it.
Yeah.
Pee your pants.
Go out the window.
Wouldn't be the first time you peed your pants. Won't be the last.
Yeah, I mean, that's another idea I had.
That's really interesting, Matt. Moving on. Episode 217.
A man in northern China sued his wife because his kids were ugly, and he won.
Really? What did he win?
$120,000.
Interesting. Are the kids aware of this?
They aren't now, but they will be in the future, and I can't...
How old are they?
This came out in 2013, so the kids are old enough now where I think they would know.
So they are aware now.
Yes.
Okay, so Matt is just backtracking on the statement he gave a moment ago. So how old were they at the time? How many kids? What are the deets?
They didn't come out with the age of the kids, because just I think like there's liability.
Can we just assume they're like 5 and younger, toddler age?
I'm assuming you're not going to be like, my kid's ugly right away when it's like 1.
Those must be some really ugly kids, because usually kids are really cute.
But apparently his wife had a ton of plastic surgery, and then they met and got married and then had kids. And
Do we have a picture of this broad?
no, I don't. I had to dig on the internet.
I don't know. I don't think a ton of plastic surgery is very aesthetic. That's me personally.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell. Like, I've even gotten to the point now where if I see a model of some sort or a celebrity, I have this thing where I can look at their nose and I'm like, oh, that's a fake nose for sure. The nose is subtle too. It can be really subtle, but when they have the nice, straight, perfect nose, that's not how noses actually look. Mm-hmm. You know, you have a good nose. I've been told I have a good nose. Got a couple good noses on this podcast. Probably the top 3 nose podcast in the upper Midwest.
Noses are good for a lot of things.
Like nachos.
I saw one of my coworkers got shingles or something. She's like, this pill's so huge. And I'm like, just crush it up and snort it.
On the roof?
No, like shingles the disease. It's like adult chicken pox. Yeah, she got shingles, so she had to take a bunch of pills.
Yeah, to sleep through the pounding on your roof.
Oh, yeah. So she got shingles, and they only could do the work at night when she's sleeping.
Well, maybe she's got a night job, you know? I don't know. I'd just be asked backwards. I have thought about that, though, living the apartment life. The main level of my apartment is a commercial space, and they finally got a renter, a tenant, I believe is the term you could use. And the people, I was in the elevator, sharing an elevator with a lady one day, and you know, I also love that when I'm on the first floor and people take an elevator up to the second floor. It's like, get off your fat ass and walk the 1 flight of stairs. I don't want to hear, unless you have your hands full of shit, just take the stairs. Or they go down 1 flight. It's like, it's gravity. Ask Matt. Matt knows all about stairs and gravity. You'll get down pretty quick if you fall. But what was I saying? Oh, yeah. the commercial level, they sold it to some office. And so now they're doing a ton of construction. I live on the 4th floor, top floor, penthouse suite. I'm not a peasant who lives on the 3rd and 2nd floor. But I get in the elevator, you know, she presses 2, I press 4. And she's like, can you hear the construction up in your apartment? And I'm like, if I could hear the construction on the 4th floor, we are going to have some real issues. No, I can't hear the construction. And I know exactly what she means. The workers are definitely just blaring the radio, you know, power tools, drills, saws, you know, the whole 9 yards. These poor people can hear it clear as day from their apartment, and I would lose my mind.
Doesn't most of the construction happen, like, during the day, though?
I mean, it does, but you got to understand, Matt, not everybody is at an office from 9 to 5. You know, there's retired people. There's people who work from home. There's people who don't have a job and are drug addicts, okay? Which is, when I got my apartment, I'm like, okay, this is pretty nice. I think we're going to keep the riff-raff out. I am pretty positive there is a fentanyl dealer on the 2nd floor. But I could be wrong. I mean, I bought it from him last week, so pretty clear indicator. But
at open mic last week, I saw this one girl's like, "Oh, here you go. I'll swing by and pick it up afterwards." But she said it, and then gave her like $150, and I was like, "That was the biggest blatant drug deal I've ever seen." And she's like, "I'm buying shampoo," and I was like,
$150 of shampoo?
and I was like, "I would."
This is for your horse?
Now I'm more offended than when I thought it was a drug deal.
I think the shampoo deal is more fucked up than the drugs.
Exactly. Like, no matter what the drugs were.
Oh, I love drug deals that just happen in broad daylight. Oh, one of my favorite things to observe or partake in.
I love there was, when I was setting up for the street fair last week, there's like, all of a sudden I'm like looking around, and there's no one around me except for this one guy, and he's just kind of like trying not to hold anything, and then just let this huge exhale of smoke out, and I was like,
Yeah, we'll get into it later, but when I was in Fargo for the weekend, I went downtown for a brief time to see some friends, hang out for a little bit, and yeah, just a blatant smell of marijuana. And I was like, yes, this is a real city.
That's Fargo downtown for you.
This is a real city. I love it.
I'm not sure because I can't really remember the last time I was in Chicago, but I'm wondering what that's going to be like.
Yeah, you're headed there soon.
Yep, leave in 2 days.
In 2 days?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, we actually do need to discuss that after the podcast. Scheduling reasons, of course. You understand any more about the suing your wife because you have ugly... What do you think the ugly kids, now that they're a little bit more grown, they're like, hey, Dad, where the fuck is my portion of that $120K?
I would say the kids are entitled to about all of it. Mainly for the dad just being a dickhead.
So are they divorced then? Were they getting okay?
Yeah, they divorced.
Wouldn't that be wild if he just sued his wife that he sleeps next to every day?
Stayed married. There's like, it's in China. It's too hard to get divorced.
Yeah, it's interesting. So he and what was there? Was there like a reason for the decision made to grant him 120,000 fucking yen or whatever?
That's another thing. It's like in the Chinese courts. I'm pretty sure they're just like, we side with the man. No matter what happened. It's like, he shot her in the head. Innocent.
It was her fault. She shouldn't have dressed that way. Well, I mean, if you have ugly kids, think about suing your wife. According to Matt over here, you'll get 120,000, whatever the Chinese currency. What is it?
Yen?
That's Japan.
1 sec.
I would give my guess, but it is a touch racist, so I'm not going to guess. Matt is Googling the Chinese.
The Chinese currency is yuan.
Is that the yen?
It's yuan.
Okay. What the hell's Japan currency? Okay, that is a yen.
Yeah. So it's basically just like adding different letters to the middle of it.
It's a different kind of Asian. Yeah. So now you can sue your wife. Let's talk about football. So far, the NFL season is upon us, and we're about 2 weeks in, which is usually a nice indicator of how teams are doing, how players are doing. My beloved Vikings, as you can tell by the jersey being worn today, Vikes are 2-0. Skull, baby. Matt, your Panthers are 0-2, and the number 1 overall pick starting quarterback just got benched. Thoughts?
With him getting benched, we go from about a 50 overall in Madden to about a 70. And with teams that are 70, they can usually win 3 or 4 games. I don't think we are sniffing a win with Bryce Young at quarterback.
Do you think, with the NFL when they're rebuilding, it really does start kind of with that young quarterback, or at least that young playmaker, game breaker? And when I say game breaker, somebody who can have a large impact on wins and losses. Usually this comes in the form of an edge or a D end or a quarterback. Sometimes it's a wide receiver, maybe an offensive lineman, but those are kind of your positions you focus on. So when organizations such as the Carolina Panthers are rebuilding, you go with Bryce Young, which once again questionable, but that's not here nor there. Well, it is here. We're talking about it right now. Do you think they're at the point of no return?
I think they're going to have to take a quarterback in the next years.
Yeah, this rebuild just isn't working. We got to rebuild the rebuild.
They hired Dave Canales came in because he was really good at fixing quarterbacks. And after 2 games, he's like, holy shit, this isn't happening.
He's like, I have a solution. Let's try another quarterback. How does it make you feel if I told you that Sam Darnold, yes, he started with the Jets, but he played for the Panthers.
I loved Sam Darnold.
Well, he's with my Vikings now. They're 2-0. Baker Mayfield, he started with the Browns, went to the Panthers. Now he's with the Buccaneers. He's 2-0. And let me tell you something. Matt Rule, the head coach that they're probably still paying to this day.
Oh, they were for the next 5 years.
He is at Nebraska now, and they're 3-0. How does that make you feel?
Not good.
Okay. I had a feeling.
It's just so like degrading that you know that the game's over like within 2 minutes of like turning on. You're like, it looks like they're playing a different sport than the Panthers are.
Yeah, Bryce Young looking directly at double cover. I saw the camera angle. I saw the footage.
When you complete 18 passes for 84 yards, something's wrong.
Yeah, that's not great.
And when you have like 3 or 4 competent receivers who maybe get 1 or 2 receptions a game, that's not great.
Like in the past, when it's football season, I've always given you a hard time and never understood. I said, are you going to watch the Panthers game? You're like, no. And I'm like, dude, come on. It's your team. You got to root them on. It's fun. It's football. We got to watch. It's what you do on Sunday. Now I get it. Now it took me a while to understand. Now I understand.
The funny thing is I watched the Cubs game instead, and the Cubs scored more points than the Panthers.
Yeah.
Playing baseball.
Well, I would stick with the Cubs. There's a reason you're flying to Chicago to watch the Cubs and not Charlotte to watch the Panthers.
I've been asked, like, oh, we should go to like a Panthers game next year. And I was like, should we though?
Yeah.
Like, maybe let's give it 10 years or.
Well, the cool thing about going to a Panthers game is they'll actually pay you to come.
Last year, at the end of the year, you could get 2 tickets for a total of $1.80. I'm not kidding.
That is so bad.
They just want you to. Well, did you see the White Sox game the other day?
No.
The total attendance was like under 1,000. It looked like a game being played like during the pandemic.
We should make it our goal to like have more people at our comedy shows than attendance for a professional sports team. That would make me very happy.
The White Sox are right up there.
We're getting close. It could happen very soon, but fantasy, nobody really cares about fantasy, but can I tell you something? I am terrible at it. I think that was known coming in. I can't help myself. No matter who I put on my bench, they go off. You in my starting lineup? Might as well just sit on the sideline.
I think I'm just really unlucky.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the 3rd highest scoring team in my league, but I'm 0-2.
And that's crazy because the week's not even over yet.
Like, I played against Alvin Kamara this week.
Ooh.
And then my other league that I'm in, I had Alvin Kamara and still lost.
Yeah, that's a tough break. Well, there you have it. Football. I am happy. I don't care if I lose in fantasy football, whatever, have a bad day. The Vikes won, baby. Skull. So I'm really happy with that. Oh, another awkward thing about the wedding. The bride, Vikings fan, groom, 49ers fan. So this was on Saturday. At one point, like during the speeches and stuff, the people started a Skull chant. And I did not participate because I was secondhand embarrassed.
Yeah, that's tough.
It's just weird. I don't know what to tell you. Moving on, episode 217.
So a Minnesota Twins minor league player, he was drafted in the 6th round. And if you know anything about the MLB draft, the 6th round's like a pretty big deal. Like, it's $1 million signing bonus. They took him in the 6th round this year. They put him in their low A team. And they already released him because he was tipping pitches. Because he didn't want to play anymore this year.
Now, explain to me how he does this, because for anybody who doesn't know, in these minor league, they're still on the same system as the majors with the button.
Yep.
Okay, so you see the catcher, he's down. It used to be he would put fingers down, 1, 2, this side, that side. They had all these things. And, you had to, as a catcher and as a defense, you had to make sure that the opposing team wasn't seeing these signs. Now, modern technology.
PitchCom.
Yeah, PitchCom. The catcher just has an array of buttons, anywhere from like 3 to 6 or however many pitches the pitcher has. All he does is presses a button on his shin guards. Funny enough, they still cover it up because they don't want them to see it.
It's not a poker hand. It's
and
like,
then the pitcher, is it in their hat?
yeah, it's like you can either put it on your hat or some have it on their glove. But they need to have their glove pretty close because it says in like a robot voice.
Yeah,
it's
and
like
then it says
slider.
Yeah, curveball.
Yeah.
4-seam fastball, whatever.
Yep.
So that's modern day how you relay the pitch from catcher to pitcher. How is this guy doing
So this guy was basically going up, putting the glove over, and he'd be like 4-seam fastball far and away and like hit it.
Oh,
and,
he's a catcher?
Yep.
Oh.
So he's telling the batters what they're doing.
What do you think the umpire's thinking?
I don't know if the umpire heard him because how the team found out about it is because the hitters put up like 6 runs in the second inning when the guy was doing it. The hitters told the coach, and then this coach told their coach.
Oh, the hitters told their coach, the opposing team, and then the opposing coach told, hey, your idiot catcher is telling us all our pitches. That's nice of him. I wouldn't say anything.
I mean, if I'm a player, I'm sure the gossip would get. I just don't think there's any way that this was not going to get back to like.
Well, it eventually would have. If I'm the opposing manager, though, and I'm in town for a 3-4 game series, I'm going to take my W's and I'm going to move on. We're going to act like we didn't hear anything.
But they were in a close race to the playoffs, so like it was like win and they're in type of thing.
Once again, if I'm the opposing team, I want to beat you 400 million to 0. I don't care. I want to win.
But Derek Bender,
is that the guy's name?
Great name. Will probably never play in the MLB now.
Here's just a wild idea. Can't you just like resign or quit or retire maybe? Like is that so difficult to do? Why would you actually go out there and purposely throw it if your whole objective is to just not play anymore? Why can't you just, hey, Skip, I don't want to play anymore. I'm not passionate about the game. I am depressed. There is a gun in my back pocket.
In baseball, it's really easy if you don't want to play, because teams will do it on the flip side too. They'll just be like, this guy's sucking right now. You're going to go on the 10-day IL. In baseball, you can be like, I'm having some elbow tightness. They're going to be like, okay, we're going to shut you down for the year. Like, it's not hard to get out of it.
Yeah, why didn't he just do that, collect his paycheck, then after the year be like, oh, I'm retiring?
I mean, he got almost $300,000 signing bonus.
But is there any way they can revoke that for throwing the game?
I don't think so.
Well, there should be something in the agreement or contract that says, hey, if you blatantly throw the game, we're not going to pay you.
You know this guy's just going to end up like playing in South Korea.
I thought he doesn't want to play anymore.
He didn't want to play anymore this year. He wanted the year to be over with.
How old is he?
23.
Sounds like a big baby.
He just
Suck it up. You got to play baseball for a career, you asshole. Some of us are out there cleaning toilets. They're called sanitation engineers, okay?
Getting my degree in biomechanics.
Yeah, some people are biomechanics. They hate their lives because they're taping up hairy ankles. And you're out there and you got to play baseball for a living and you're crying about it? Just go on the goddamn IL. Let's deport this son of a bitch to Venezuela and make him go play in that league. And I think he'll be like, oh, actually, it wasn't too bad out there in Minnesota. That was pretty nice. Those people are pretty cool.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be playing in there's no doubt about it.
I hate this guy.
Yo, yeah, he's like the modern day Pete Rose, but hated even more.
I like Pete Rose.
Yeah, that was the only thing I could think of. A modern day.
Well, I mean, if you're selling autographed baseballs for beer money, I got respect for you.
I mean, this is it's like the Black Sox. Like, throwing baseball games is like, literally the only thing you can't come back from.
Yeah, it's like Paul Crewe in Longest Yard.
Yep. It's very similar
Except
to
he's
this.
not getting threatened to be killed by a...
He just didn't want to play. Say, I'm done with it. I don't want to play no more.
Well, message to all of you listeners out there. If there's something you don't want to do, just speak up and don't do it. Oh, I don't want to work for my company anymore, so I embezzled $3 million. It's like, well, you know, we could have... There's other jobs out there, you know.
Well, not for you anymore, but...
Yeah, I mean, you'll never get hired
You'd be stamping
again.
license plates in the prison, but...
And that's fine, too. That's so interesting. This guy is throwing...
But the weird thing is that he played for Coastal Carolina in college, so he didn't have, like, a lot of bait, because he didn't make it to the College World Series, so he, like, okay, there's 3 weeks that you weren't playing, 4 weeks, a month, 6 weeks that he wasn't playing. He could have played a lot more baseball, but he wasn't. He's on a good team.
It sounds like this guy's just an ungrateful son of a bitch and doesn't know, like, how good he has it. You're playing a child's game. You're getting paid millions of dollars to play a child's game as an adult. It's called the entertainment industry. Okay, no matter how you slice and dice it, being a professional athlete is in the entertainment industry. With modern day gladiators, we go to a stadium, we crowd around the TV, and we watch these people duke it out on a playing surface.
Yeah, it's arguably the only reason that big cities still exist.
It's one of the best jobs in the world.
Yep.
And you're so ungrateful that you took the work. If I was this kid's parents, I would be so disappointed.
I mean, every 10-year-old, no one says they want to be like an accountant when they grow up.
Yeah, because that would leave us nothing to talk about at the wedding venue. So I'm going to go get some Gardettos and a Shirley Temple. Lose my
Every
number.
single kid at one point in his life said, I want to be a professional baseball player. I want to be a pro football player. I'm going to make it to the NBA. I know I said it, and then I'm like, wait, I'm 4'6", and I'm 14 years old?
Yeah.
Probably not going to happen.
Was that guy, that Chinese guy who sued for his kids being ugly, was it actually an American guy, and was it actually your dad?
Fuck you.
Roasted.
His name was Sheng Fei.
Translation, Bill Cleary. Oh, yeah, by the way, Bill, thanks for the X-ray chart reader. Just so you know, we got rid of it, and we actually got value for it. Trade Up Challenge started with the X-ray chart reader.
We're trying to get into a condo.
Yeah, I can't wait.
A shop condo to put the podcast in. So only 450 more trades.
And not be able to afford the utilities,
Yeah.
get kicked out a month later.
Yeah, it's
Squatters' rights. I know them.
Oh, man.
All right, well, don't tip the pitches, but I was in Fargo this last weekend for the wedding. Happened to be that ex-podcast guest Tommy Brennan was in town, so I went to go check out his comedy show, and then I met up with the Fargo comedians, which is always a real doozy. I was texting our boy Blaze, and he's like, yeah, come meet up with us downtown, as they call it in Pittsburgh. And so I went to meet up with him. I said, I'll be there in a bit, about an hour later after I said my goodbyes and drove over there. I roll in and I see other comedian Josh. Both those guys also going to be at our show in 2 weeks, so check it out. But I'm like, where's Blaze? And then they're like, oh, yeah, no, he's gone. I'm like, it's been an hour. He could have let me know. So then the show starts or whatever, and I see Blaze roll in, and he doesn't even recognize. Like, I'm sitting there, and he doesn't even, recognize that I'm there. Then finally he notices me, and he comes up to me, and he goes, dude, I'm as fucked up as you are at the last show. And I was like, wow, that's pretty fucked up. That's really drunk. But yeah, I got to meet some other comedians, so it was really nice to meet some other Fargo comedians and others, who are living out in New York. It was a lineup of 4 gentlemen that night who were really good at what they did. Funny enough, though, I did notice, the Comedy Cellar at Fargo is great reputation. They have a lot of great talent coming through, and they know what they're doing, very professional. But I just felt as if those comedians were just using Fargo as their testing grounds. Because one thing I don't really like to do for my own personal comedy bits, and I think it's weird, a little weird and kind of awkward and not professional. I'm not saying I know how to be a professional comedian. It's just my own standard that I hold myself to. I don't like it when people comment on their own jokes. Like they say a joke and it kind of fizzles out. They're like, "Oh, I thought that joke would be a lot funnier," or something. I don't know. I don't like it when they give their own commentary. It's like, come on, man. Like, this is a show. Let's just like gloss over it and get to the next one.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like I mean, I know I do it at like open mic when I'm trying to show like a joke, like, oh, that one sucked, like just kind of like a defense mechanism to move on to something else to fill air. I just don't want to be like, no,
I get it. Definitely, get nervous a little bit, or you're just trying to fill some time. However, I was just kind of hanging out in the back, hanging out with the other comedians. Didn't really care for the best spot. I mean, there's not a bad spot in that house, but so just hanging back, and I didn't notice, but there was a guy up front who was wearing no shoes, and the first comedian that went up clung on to this. I mean, you sit front row at a comedy show and you're not wearing any shoes. Wild. And the comedian's like, "So did you come here? Did you take them off when you got here?" He's like, "Nope, came here with no shoes." This is downtown Fargo. This is downtown of a
stepped on
city.
a heroin needle on your way in.
Yeah, it's just not ideal. I mean, the streets aren't that dirty, but my goodness, come on, man. And then he had an array of pins on his shirt, and boy, was he just getting...
Was he wearing a top hat?
No, but he was getting harassed for that. Not that I can remember, but then another part of that's really awkward at comedy shows, I think, and it's the risk you run with kind of picking on the crowd members. This guy, for the rest of the show, assumed that he could just have a personal conversation with every goddamn comedian that came up there. And I couldn't hear from where I was, but it was shitty because like he would say something and then the comedian would comment on it, and like the people surrounding, in the front would laugh, and we're all like, "Wait, what did he say? I have no idea." I don't want to be clueless at a comedy show.
Yeah. You don't want to be like on the outside looking in of like you're in a group of people and you didn't hear someone say something. And everyone laughs and you're like, yeah,
totally. It was hilarious. I said my mom died.
Well, some people, they like, I know Blaze at the show that I did with him in the outskirts of Fargo. This one lady was just drunk and obnoxious. And at one point, Blaze just goes, "Ma'am, can you shut the fuck up?" And I was like, all right, now we're talking.
I mean, that's okay. A little bit of crowd control. Like, my policy is I definitely wouldn't heckle the person holding the microphone.
Yeah.
But, to each their own. That's your call. That's your prerogative. But then like I said, I met some new comedians, and then there was a lady comedian. She actually opened for Nikki Glazer when she was at Four Bears. Her name is Bethany. Really looking forward to doing some work with her in the future. So she was the host that night, and we're all kind of hanging back with her, and then after the show, hanging around. And the other comedians were selling posters. They commissioned an artist to make their poster, and it was a pretty cool poster. I wasn't personally interested for the $20. However, some were. So Shoeless Pin Guy gets one, right? And we're all hanging around, and I see Shoeless Pin Guy start talking to her, and I couldn't really make out what he was saying. I didn't really care, but I was in the vicinity. Then apparently what he was trying to do is trying to get her to sign the poster, and she's like, "I'm not on the poster, so I don't want to ruin it." And then he goes, "Well, how about you sign the back?" I was like, "What?" So yeah, when he left and she came back to the area we were hanging out at, I'm like, "Well, you made it when Shoeless Pin Guy asks you to sign the back of his poster." It was just really interesting. I always love the interesting patrons that you see at comedy shows.
Yeah, that would be one of those that I would walk away from the conversation because I don't like that like secondhand embarrassment of like, oh my God, could you imagine being in the situation?
Yeah, but no, it was good to be back at the Comedy Cellar in Fargo. If you're there, go check it out. We know a lot of people there, and the people running it, they do a really good job. Hadn't been there in a while, but it was just good to be back and see again. It gave me reassurance that what we're doing here is kind of on the right page.
Yep.
It's really not. It's not a complicated math equation to figure out. You just got to give the people what they want, and what they want is a good, solid show. Got to create an atmosphere to allow that. But it was really good to see them, and then, ended up at the VFW of all places.
They love going to that place.
They had a live band, so I thought that was cool. But
like the last time I was in Fargo Blaze, is like, I'm gonna hit the VFW, and then I'll meet you down at Dempsey's, and I was like, who goes to the VFW?
Well, and I was actually sober today. Actually marks another 30-day cleanse that I have completed. So I was sober at the time. And it's so funny, people watching when you're sober and they're drunk, because there was two, good-looking gals on the dance floor. And I jokingly said to Blaze, go dance with them. He's like, oh, yeah, these chicks are going to love it. And I can clearly see their boyfriends about 20 feet away. And they turned them down for the dance rather quickly. So that was interesting to see. But I got my Fargo fix and made some good connections. That's what it's all about. So I think we got some good things in store for our listeners coming up. And what else do we have coming up? We have a bunch of shows. We've got the whole show list Saturday, September 28th. If you want to come check out our comedy shows, see what we're all about on stage. Yes, like I said, Dakota Stage Theater. That's Saturday, September 28th. Tickets are on sale now, or you can buy them at the door. The door is not a guarantee in case it does sell out ahead of time. But as of this moment, there are still limited tickets available. So definitely go and check that out. We'll be selling merch, and we got some refreshments there for you to purchase as well. October 17th, Matt, myself, and a gentleman by the name of Kyle Huber will be at Laughing Sun Brewery here in Bismarck. Tickets are going on sale for that. Also, we'll have merch, and then it's a brewery, so you can get some beers in you and support local business, support local art, entertainment here in the Bismarck-Mandan area. Okay, beyond that, it gets complicated. Your Tuesday, October 29th, also at Laughing Sun.
Yep.
Correct. Go check out Matt. I don't know what the lineup is there, but Matt representing No Brains, No Headache in that show. Excited, proud of him, so that's going to be cool to see. November 15th, Matt and I headed on the road. The Drop Zone, Minot, is going to be a good one. It'll be my first time doing comedy outside of Bismarck-Mandan, so I'm excited about that. And then I have a spot Tuesday, November 26th at Laughing Sun. You're seeing a theme here. If you're paying attention, there's a theme. Laughing Sun is a good venue for comedy, and there's going to be monthly comedy shows there. So Matt and I have been asked to do some spots there. So if you want to support No Brains, No Headache, come support us individually as comedians. And then January 25th, that's a Saturday. You're like, dude, Jordan, that's 4 months out. It is. However, it's never early enough to get your tickets because the venue it's at, they have a built-in crowd. They do an amazing job of marketing. I very well could see those tickets selling out as well. So once I get those tickets for sale, we will let you know, but mark it on your calendar for now. That's going to be our biggest and best show ever. We have past guest Tommy Brennan. That's why I went to Fargo to see him. I actually surprised him. He was wearing a sick Vikings vintage sweater, so I was really proud of him for that. And then we'll also have Aiden McCluskey. He is going to be the feature for that one. And then local comedian, one of the best in town, Brandon Loftus. And then I'll be hosting, and we're going to get Matt on stage some way, shape, or form, but he's going to be my right-hand man that night, making sure everything's going good backstage. And by that, I mean making sure everybody's shucking in beers in the green room. Yeah, just
like, what'd Matt do? He just got drunk and fucking spilt stuff all over the place.
So that's our upcoming show schedule. As always, every Wednesday, we have open mic night here in Bismarck at 8 p.m. It's either at Jimmy V's or Gideon's. If it's not at one, we're at the other. And they're good news, they're a half block away from each other.
If you go to one and you're like, oh, it's not here, and you go home, you should be kicked directly in the dick.
Matt, how can our followers say they're like, you know what, I'm jonesing for these No Brains, No Headache guys. These guys are hilarious. I want to consume more of their content. I want their content in my veins. How do they do it?
Go on any social media platform. That's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. And you can watch the show on YouTube. You can find clips on the other social media platforms, or you can just find funny videos that I post on there.
Give us a follow. Matt has been doing a wonderful job of growing those pages. So, keep on keeping on and help them keep growing it, because we sure enjoy you guys following us and staying up to date. Get new episode releases the moment they come out, and get all the information for our upcoming comedy shows. That's our show for this week.
Yeah.
That was fun. I
Let's get out of
enjoyed
here.
that. Yes, we have plenty to do. I got another Diet Dr. Pepper in me for sure. So
Same.
we're going to check that out. Next up, episode 218. Thank you for listening.
You're watching Channel 4 News with 5-time Emmy Award-winning anchor Ron Burgundy.